people have noticed that the strange fog has returned, and they are saying that it's giving them a headache, it's making them feel unwell, and so forth, what we have seen with the 2024 mysterious fog. But they are also saying that this fog looks a little more unusual than before, to the point they are saying that it looks like smart dust or nanoparticles. I'm going to go ahead and play the video, but afterwards, I'm going to talk about something that a lot of us should know about a certain fog type called utility fog, and it's an article coming straight from NASA.
Alright, beautiful people, I want to show you something. When I tell you there's fog in the air, particles that drop down on us. Okay? Now it ain't too hard to figure out. Do you see the difference in them? Yeah, we breathe it every day. Let me find a good angle. It's not raining, it's not nothing, you all. But just goes to show you, look, there's two different types. There's a whole misty. And y'all gonna say, this is not hurting us. Oh, sorry. But do you see, people? Do we see? Smart dust fog.
So like I said, she believes it's smart dust, but look at this. This is coming from NASA back in 1993, and they call it utility fog. And I'm not going to read all of it, just some of it. It goes on to say, active polymorphic material, utility fog, can be designed as a conglomeration of 100 micron robotic cells called foglets. Such robots could be built with the techniques of molecular nanotechnology, controllers with processing capabilities of 1000 MIPs per cubic micron, and electric motors with power densities of 1 milliwatt per cubic micron are assumed. Utility fog should be capable of simulating most everyday materials, that's creepy, dynamically changing its form and properties, and forms a substrate for an integrated virtual reality and telerobotics. But this gets even better. Listen to this. It goes on to say, imagine a microscopic robot. It has a body about the size of a human cell and 12 arms sticking out in all directions. A bucket full of such robots might form a robot crystal by linking their arms up into a lattice structure. Now take a room with people, furniture, and other objects in it. It's still mostly empty air. Fill the air completely full of robots. The utility fog operates in two modes. First, the naive mode, where the robots act like cells, and each robot occupies a particular position and does a particular function in a given object. The second, or fog mode, has the robots acting more like the pixels on a TV screen, or the little particles of fog that people would see outside when they shine their light on it. The utility fog, which is simulating air, needs to be impalpable. One would like to be able to walk through a fog-filled room without the feeling of having been cast into a block of solid lucite. It is also desirable to be able to breathe while using the fog in this way. To this end, the robots representing empty space constantly run a fluid flow simulation of what the air would be doing if the robots were not there. Then each robot does what the air it displaces would do in its absence. So basically what they're saying is that you would be able to breathe it in like any normal air and you would not even notice. But listen to this. How can one breathe when the air is a solid mass of machines? Actually, it isn't really solid. The foglets only occupy about 10% of the actual volume of the air. They need lots of elbow room to move around easily. There's plenty of air left to breathe. As far as physically breathing it, we set up a pressure-sensitive boundary which translate air motions on one side to fog motions on the other. It might even be possible to have the fog continue the air simulation all the way into the lungs. So when you're saying this fog is coming out in a very unusual time, and someone says to you, well, that's normal, that's what normal everyday fog looks like, it's just fog, bro. Well, during what time in our history that these little robots that were simulating fog were released to the public, at what time was it not just fog, and it was these robots? Then they go on to want us to understand why they would want to fill the air with microscopic robots, only to go through so much trouble to make it seem like they were not even there, and they would just simulate everyday fog. It also lists the general properties and uses, but I'm going to go ahead and skip to the bottom right here where it says, another item of infrastructure that will become increasingly important in the future is information processing. Nanotechnology will allow us to build some really monster computers. Although each foglet will possess a comparatively small processor, which is to say the power of a current day supercomputer, there are about 16 million foglets to a cubic inch. When those foglets are not doing anything else, for example, when they are simulating the interior of a solid object or air that nothing is passing through at the moment, they can be used as a computing resource. So what are they saying? They are saying that we are technically breathing in tiny computers that are going throughout our bodies into our brains. And then you have to think of things like 5G. They even go on to list communications and control. And NASA says this was just hypothetical. This wasn't something they were doing. BS. That's complete BS. They were telling us this back in 1993. Decades later, I am sure they are well more advanced with these nanoparticles that we are breathing in. What's even eerier is the fact that not too long ago, between 2016 and 2025, especially in 2025, it came out that they were finding a lot of these plastics inside people's brains. And what I'm going to assume that they were finding were just these nanoparticles. And it all connects to the technology, the Wi-Fi, the 5G, and so forth. But I do want to go ahead and make sure I say, for YouTube purposes only, this is just for entertainment. And again, NASA said that this was just hypothetical. So if anybody says to you, that's just fog, don't make a big deal about it, send them this link. I'm going to go ahead and post it in the comment section below and the description of this video.